Fred, it's just been a privilege of mine as your hospice chaplain to be able to serve the spiritual care needs that you've had over the last just under a year and a half. What lessons has your work taught you?
You just love everybody, and if you don't like a job, you do it the best you can. And when you find a job that you like, stick with it, and don't let money interfere with what you like to do.
What would you say you're most proud of?
That little girl in that picture right up there, Rose, I met her when I was 12 years old. She was 11. You know, you hear the love at first sight. Well, I had love at first sight, and I still have that love in my heart today. The first time I see her, she was on the porch, and I had the funniest feeling in my, right here on my left side of my heart. I really had love at first sight. We were in the 7th grade, and she was in the seat right behind me. The school to her house was 2.5 miles, and I'd walk her home at lunch, and then I would run from her house to my house, which was a mile away. I would have lunch at my house, and then I'd run back and meet her. She'd be on her way back to school, because we had to be back to school at 1. You know, she'd have to walk 5 miles, and it's only an hour, and need her lunch. Later years, we just were together all the time. When I started farming, Saturdays she'd walk out to the farm, and she learned to cook. She would make my favorite pudding, suet pudding.
You're drooling, Fred.
I know that. It really helped. Oh, I love suet pudding, but today I can't find anybody to make it. She always made it for my birthday instead of a cake, and we became such great friends. It was through all my life.
At one point, you said, if you're not Dutch, you're not
much.
There you go. One of the most beautiful stories that you told was that day that you married Rose.
Yeah, there's never been another wedding like it. I was driving a team of horses in a grain drill, and I drilled oats all day, and the wedding was supposed to be at 7:30 that night. I managed to get a clean pair of dungarees and get to my mother's house. The wedding was at my mother's. And my brother-in-law, he was a truck driver. Well, he hadn't showed. We were waiting for him. And about 9 o'clock, the minister says, well, I'm going home. And he says, when he gets here, you come and get me. My brother-in-law showed up about 11, went down and got the minister. But we got married before 12, so I was married on the 9th of May in 1942. But anyhow, after breakfast the next day, we drove back to Baldensville, and I drove out to the farm, and that was the first night my wife and I slept together. And we were both
still chuckling about that.
That we actually slept together. So if you ain't Dutch, you ain't much.
What traditions have been passed down through your family?
Love is the best thing to keep a family together. So I got the habit of loving everybody. I have a wife, and she has a daughter and a son. So I have a daughter and a granddaughter and a grandson, and my granddaughter has a daughter, so I have a great-granddaughter, and then I have 2 great-grandsons, and the grandsons are in college, and the granddaughter is in high school. It's just love that holds us together.
Let's talk a little bit about your spiritual life. I know that you believe in God. We've talked about that.
I talked to the Lord once. In 2000, I had to fuel up a big scraper. I reached in and I got pinched between a truck and the scraper tire. And it was right across just above my belt line. And I couldn't breathe and I couldn't talk. I couldn't holler or nothing. But I sort of maybe blacked out like, and this man's voice come to me and said, Fred, you're paralyzed. You can't move a muscle. But if you don't do something yourself and do it right away, you're going to die. My eyes opened up. I took my right hand and I took my fingers and I went up like that to the door. And then I took the left hand and walked up with my fingers. And the minute my left hand touched my right hand, I fell out of there like a wet noodle. And I fell right on the ground, and I laid there in the dirt. My telephone was in my shirt pocket, but my fingers would just make little marks in the dirt. I couldn't do nothing. And I laid there quite a while, and then a boy come along, Mr. Fred, do you need some help? And I said, yeah, go to my pickup and call the shop and tell them to call the paramedics. So he called the paramedics, and when they come out, they start riding in on me, and they says, well, who moved the equipment? Nobody moved the equipment. Well, how'd you get out of there? And I says, I have a friend upstairs. And I pointed straight to the sky. But he says, do you know this is only 5 inches between there where you were pinched? And that's going to kill a person. Well, I said it pretty near did. Broke my vertebrae. It broke something inside of me. But the Lord saved me.
You know, you're going to have family members and friends listen to this recording in years to come. What would you like to pass on to them?
If you believe in the Lord will take care of you. Because every time you get where you think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You always get better. And it's just the Lord winks at you. Just believe in the Lord and He'll take care of you.
And that's the message that you pass on to your family.
You betcha. Because He saved my life so many times.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the wisdom, the inspiration, the affirmations. And we will remember your story.
Jolly good.